goodness. What a Monday night it was, Christopher.
Hello,
Sometimes when you wait and you wait and you wait, you get one of those nights that you will never forget. And that's what we got last night to cap Week 14 of the 2020 season. Congratulations to the NFL for getting 14 weeks in. Congratulations to everyone involved for giving us a game that was the most entertaining regular season game since Rams-Chiefs, November 19 of 2018. Period. 54-51 then, 47-42 now. And you could argue that this one was even more dramatic and exciting when you throw in the why was Lamar Jackson in the locker room for so long question, which we will delve into today. But the first thing I want to say after I say hello to our Peacock audience, Sirius XM 211, NBC Sports Audio, NBCSN, Sky Sports NFL, for our friends in the UK and Ireland, anybody listening on a podcast, and now I've said that, I can say this, Chris.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the hue and cry from the people who will say that last night's game set back defensive football for 50 years. Because we heard some of that after Rams-Chiefs.
Yeah.
And to all those people, I just want to preemptively say, sit down and shut up.
Right.
No, because 89 points. Look, until it gets like basketball and there's a presumption you're going to score every time you have the ball. And football at the NFL level hasn't gotten to that point yet. There isn't a presumption you're going to score. Last night, it was exciting because they kept scoring and scoring and scoring, especially late. But there still isn't in the NFL this idea like arena football that, hey, you get the ball, you score. Other team gets the ball, it scores. Let's see if somebody can get lucky and make a stop.
That sounds horrible. Go ahead.
Right. And if we get there, I'll let you know.
Right.
We're not there.
No, we're not.
Nobody ever talks about a 6-3 game that was a defensive struggle all morning long and all day long. So I just want to plant that flag early. I don't want to hear, although I can't stop anyone from saying it, I'm not going to listen to anyone who says this game sets back the game of football. It doesn't.
Where did you get this from? Who started this? What got you all on this conversation on a Tuesday morning?
I just remember from 2 years ago that was the narrative after Rams-Chiefs. Right. That, oh, my God, we've set back defensive football by X number of years. No, we've made the game more exciting. People are drawn in. This is what people want to watch, especially as the NFL begins to fully appreciate the long-term benefits of legalized wagering, because there ain't nobody that's going to be betting money on defensive play. They're betting money on points. So anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I'm just trying to cauterize that argument before it goes any farther. Last night was awesome.
It was.
Last night was special. And there's so much. I think we've budgeted the first hour of the program just to talk about this game, Chris. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, well, there is. And you know, like, just to get out ahead of your conversation there, it is different to me than the Chiefs-Rams football game. You know, that game, that had moments and plays of like, oh, there's a guy catching the ball. Nobody's in the screen. Touchdown. And then it was like 3 plays later, the other team answers. Nobody's in the screen. Touchdown. This was at least sustained drive, smash-mouth football at times. Yes, it led to some big plays, and it led to, you know, 2 teams answering each other a bunch here throughout the football game. But I didn't have as much of a – I didn't have a problem with that is what I'm saying. And you know me, I'm a fan of the 28-24 football game. That's my favorite type of game. But this was fun to watch, had a little bit of everything, still had hard-hitting defensive plays, but – oh, my gosh, and I don't know. Where do you want to start with? Cramps, bathroom, what?
Lamar
Jackson?
Let's just summarize some of the weirdness. Right. And I'll agree with you. My favorite scores are in the 30s. I'll take a 41-38, 44-38. I'll live with a periodic 47-42, which, by the way, was the first time in the history of the NFL that a final score was 47-42. Never happened before. I'll take another one anytime, especially in prime time. The other oddity from last night, Baker Mayfield, Browns quarterback, first quarterback in NFL history to lose 2 games while scoring 42 points. They had a 45-42 loss, I believe, when he was a rookie. And it was only the second safety last night, the ultimate bad beat with the Ravens winning by 3, giving 3 points. It was a push. Everyone gets their ticket back. They get their refund. Nobody wins. Nobody loses until the Browns do the band is on the field, and they keep going backward. And it's funny because there was a point where no one could find a teammate to lateral the ball to. They were all too tired to run behind where the guy with the ball was until somebody ran into the end zone. Ball gets thrown in. It's a safety, and it's 47-42, and the Ravens cover, which was good for us because I think we both picked Ravens to win and Ravens to cover. I haven't gone back and checked our scores, but Ravens win, Ravens cover. Just like that, just easy like
Crazy.
that. They did it the easy way.
Well,
it was just and that doesn't even. We didn't even have room on the graphic for Lamar Jackson's bout with cramps.
It was cramps, okay? All right. So let's just start there. First off, how amazing that was. Because, I mean, I have friends texting me, too, last night. Like, I mean, what the heck? Now he just comes back and he's okay? Well, yes, that's how it works, just so we can clarify this. First off, the guys in my history of the NFL, you know, major college football, University of Texas, you know this. We've talked about it before. But the guys that cramp are the freakiest guys on the team. It's the freaky athletes. It's the Julio Jones, the Odells, the Jalen Ramseys. It's the guys that have 3% body fat and they're all muscle and explosion and everything like that. And it's just the wrong night of whatever it is. Too much running, didn't hydrate enough, whatever it is. Either way, he had to go in and get an IV. You saw that he was taped up around his left arm, right there around his elbow. That's where they stick the needle in. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard his post-game press conference, Mike, but I will say he was in there longer than you normally see somebody get an IV. It makes me wonder if it was like more of a severe case of cramps maybe than you usually get as an athlete. But this is not that uncommon for an athlete like Lamar Jackson. And, wow, good thing he got back just in a flash of time.
Look, it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's different. And it's just the ultimate confluence of sports and social media.
Yes, it is.
That the moment he left, and I think it reinforced it for a lot of people, when you saw him making the move to the locker room and trying to hurry in, that was something we've all experienced at some time in our lives. That was the, I got to go get out of the way.
Well, you're right. And he had a little shimmy.
Right?
He had a little shimmy, too,
Right.
but it's because of the cramps. Like, he's probably got his
I
calf muscle.
I know.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I know, but when you see that, you
Right.
think, been there, done that.
Yeah, right.
So that's what fueled this frenzy that Lamar Jackson, I don't know what the appropriate terminology is for 7 a.m. in the East and eventually prime time in the UK.
Yeah.
But he had an impending intestinal requirement.
Right.
That is, I think, what I'm going to go with, and nod to Seinfeld. And I agree with you. Listen, we've been there and done that, and it doesn't take that long. That's the other reality.
That's right.
And Lamar, and my son said to me, we were watching the game, and he said, Lamar's going to go turn his phone on, and he's going to see that everybody is talking about how he had to go poop.
Right.
And yes, he found out, and he responded with one of the memes that's out there of a little kid looking under the bottom of a stall, saying that's John Harbaugh telling.
Are you ready yet?
Lamar to hurry up.
Yeah, hurry.
Yeah. And Lamar retweets it. What's the quote on the tweet? Y'all tripping? I wasn't taking a poop.
Yes.
Although he used the little emoji, the little chocolate frozen yogurt emoji, which
Very
many thought
appealing.
that was initially.
Very appealing.
So enjoy your breakfast. Anyway, Chris, I agree with you. And unless it was next level brilliance to put the bandage on the arm where the IV was, then that he got an IV.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Here's my question for you though.
Right.
We usually see guys get IVs when it's hot. It wasn't hot last night.
No.
How do you cramp up on a night when it's not hot?
Well, you're still running around, intensity's high, and he was running around a lot. I mean, as we saw, there was all over the football field. So, and hey, listen, we can't forget. I don't know. He did just have COVID-19. He talked about his body adjusting through that, and it didn't feel quite normal until the last few days. So he's probably not like tip-top 100% endurance muscle shape right now to where he was before he got that. So it's probably a little bit of both and all of that kind of combining, a little bit of a, I'm guessing that's what it is. That's to me what it would be. But yeah, that combined with the running, it doesn't matter if it's cold or not. I've seen those type of athletes, those guys that are freaky fast and got no body fat. They can cramp in those settings just as easily as they can on a really hot day.
Let's hear from the man himself on the wrinkle that made last night's finish even more dramatic. Here's Lamar Jackson.
Like right before those two passes I threw to Willie and Mark, the overthrows, I was cramping my throwing arm. And I'm telling coach, I'm like, man, I need to get some salt in my system real quick. And, we punt the ball. I'm on the sideline. Titans end up catching the pick, interception. We go down to score. And right after that, I get a ball to JK, and my legs just start cramping. And I'm like, bro, I need something now, to help me get better real quick, because this a crucial game right here. Both teams be playing their hearts out. And we went to the back. Dr. Tuck, she was helping me out a lot. And Kev came back, started stretching me. And, Trace was doing a great job dropping the ball down the field. Then I see my guy go down. And as I'm seeing him go down, I'm still stretching. I got to get back. I'm catching the attitude because I'm like, man, it ain't going the way we want to. And then I see him go down, and I'm like, we got to start now. We just got to go out there now. And I start running out there. Kev running with me. It's fourth down. And offensive line blocked their tail off, and our guys just made great catches, and we came out with the victory.
That's what made the entire episode so memorable. Trace McSorley goes down on that very well-manicured field at First Energy Stadium, and you see Lamar Jackson coming back to the field, 4th and 5, straight onto the field, and not just runs for a first down, because I'm thinking he's going to run. He's going to get it. I saw it like an avenue over to his left.
Yeah.
It's like he's going to get it. He's going to run to his left. He's going to get the first down. We're going to keep going. No, he throws the ball to, of all people, Mr. Drop for the Baltimore Ravens,
right.
Marquise Hollywood Brown, and he catches it, uses one of the deep officials as a little bit of a screen and gets into the end zone. It was amazing. You come back in one play. You're down 35-34. You come back in one play, and with the 2-point conversion, which took a big collision right before the goal line to go in, you're up 42-35. That is the thing that took a great game and moved it into that level of that handful of all-time great regular season games that you'll never forget.
Yeah, right. Well, it just has that special moment there, the old Willis Reed New York Knicks moment or whatever you want to talk about. Two things. First off, you talked about the field where you made fun of it. That probably didn't help his cramping too. Him just trying to, really having to grip the ground, do whatever that is there, but they didn't have the right cleats on either. That's partly their fault too. Good thing he adjusted there. What I don't get is he going to get out? All right, so first off, the cramps must have been serious because your arm cramping and things like that, that's a little bit more than just, hey, your hamstring, your calf muscle. When you start, I mean, honestly, I haven't heard of arm cramping too much, really. That'd be crazy hot days. So that just tells you his body was not at a total 100% functioning state or in shape or whatever. But to have those type of issues. But does he get on the field, Mike? If McSorley doesn't get hurt, does he get out there and save the day? Or does the 4th down just flounder if McSorley doesn't get hurt and they lose the game? That's where I'm really intrigued. Did him getting hurt actually save the Ravens' butts to give him the time to run out there and then go, okay, I'm going to play. Let me give him the ball, 4th down, let's go.
In his interview after the game with Lisa Salters of ESPN, I got the distinct impression he was coming back no matter what.
Okay.
Trace McSorley injured or not, he was coming back. I just think seeing Trace McSorley go down on that well-manicured field is what caused Lamar Jackson to say,
it was
we're
4th
going
down.
right now. We're going right now. But even then, when he saw – because, the whole thing, the starting of the play, it looked like it was going to go somewhere.
Right.
But he still – he knew the clock was ticking generally, but the guy gets injured. That was the final catalyst, but I think he was coming anyway.
Well, I know. I would think he was coming anyways. You're right. It just, I don't know if he gets there if McSorley doesn't get hurt. What if McSorley gets up right after that play, gets in the huddle, it's 4th down, they call a play, and, oh, man, he missed another slant, or missed something to Hollywood Brown. Hey, game over. And then what, Lamar runs out. It's like, oh, hey, give me the ball one more time. Let me show you. That's what's fascinating. I don't know if that's luck or whatever, but to me, I was amazed by that, let alone his whole performance last night. I mean, that was insane. That was insane.
Here's what I was astounded by. 124 rushing yards was the most ever in Monday Night Football history. How could there not have been more at some point with Mike Vick, right? With Lamar Jackson, the night that he shredded the Rams last year, I just would have assumed he had 150 rushing yards in that game. So I was blown away by that. On that last play, too, and Chris, this goes back to a conversation we have from time to time. When you draw it up on the board, the X handles the O. But, Anthony Barr would tell us differently from a couple of years ago against the Rams. And last night, Olivier Vernon, you don't have him covering out in the flat. I understand the benefit of fooling a quarterback into who's covering and who's rushing. And we saw the Ravens make an interception with a move like that. But it's got to be quick. You can't have the guy trying to cover downfield. And not a good idea to have Olivier Vernon drop into coverage and try to slow down a guy like Marquise Brown.
Well, he collides with MJ Stewart, right? The guy covering Hollywood Brown there too. I think Olivier Vernon's trying to pursue Lamar Jackson, or at least be there for him to take off, do something like that, and within that runs right into the guy covering Hollywood Brown. And Hollywood Brown, if you go back to those pictures we showed a minute ago, look, he's fighting to get off of, bump coverage. And that's Mitchell, not MJ Stewart. I was wrong. But either way, I think it's a jam by Olivier Vernon. Now let me get there and get in the way or pursue Lamar Jackson. And he obviously picks off Terrence Mitchell. But the thing that was amazing more than anything, Mike, is like you said, it looked like he could have probably ran for the first down. It was him one-on-one with another player. And it also looked like he had a guy that short where he probably could have just thrown it to him and got the first down. When he let the ball deep, I was like, oh, no, like just run, whatever. And then, of course, you see Hollywood Brown wide open, easy touchdown. But just amazing. The theatrics, everything about it. The performance by him was off the charts good. Like, that was amazing what we saw last night. I come away from that game, Mike, and I don't go, oh, man, Baltimore's back. I come away going, I'm more concerned than ever with Baltimore. I mean, what's there to really look at with Baltimore last night and go, that was good? I mean, they really didn't run the ball that great. And when I mean run the ball, I mean smash mouth, move people out of the way like that. No, they ran the ball because they got Superman at quarterback. That's why they ran the ball. It wasn't because they physically dominated the line of scrimmage or anything like that. They ran it because, a lot of those running plays came on drop back passes, right, Mike? He drops back. He kind of extends the play, finds a lane, and zoom, he's gone. But he was the whole team last night. Defense not good. There's really nothing to look at from the Ravens standpoint for me to go, oh, man, the Ravens are back on track. This looks good. I really almost feel the opposite. I almost feel like, yeah, the Ravens won. That's great. I'm glad they're still in it. And he's amazing, Lamar, and I want to keep watching him play. But the way I feel about the two teams, the team that won, I feel lesser about than the team that lost. I don't know if that...
Well, hang on though.
Yeah.
They still got 100-plus rushing yards out of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards combined. They were moving the ball in chunks, not big chunks, but they were moving it 4 or 5 yards at a clip. Edwards averaged 7 yards a carry, and Dobbins averaged 4.1. But, early on, it felt like the Ravens were sluggish, and it wasn't until you start seeing Lamar Jackson find the groove,
right,
and just be dominant. He had the touchdown run where he was shot out of a cannon, and that's when you're thinking, hey, you know what? I've got it here. I can. The Ravens will be fine when you see Lamar Jackson do that. And they had 2 touchdown lead at different stretches of the game. That's just part of the setup for what made it also memorable at the end of the day. And we'll be talking about the Browns coming up, but they didn't go away after this Willis Reed, Paul Pierce type moment at the 2-minute warning that put the Ravens up 7. They kept pushing, and unfortunately, they left too much time on the clock for the Ravens with Lamar Jackson to do it again. And it felt so inevitable that Lamar Jackson, number 1, was going to get them into field goal range. And number 2, no matter how far that field goal attempt was, Justin Tucker was going to make it.
Well, that I will say. Yeah, I felt pretty good. Like, you get in range, this guy is going to knock it in. As far as the time is concerned, Man, that's a tough one. You got to go down. You got to score. You're playing the Baltimore Ravens. We know that they're not the greatest pass offense in the world either. But, hey, well, Kareem Hunt, they made big plays when it was a fast drive. Sometimes you just get a little unlucky that way. I don't know what else to say there. But it's not the type of situation where you go down or something at the 1 yard line, right, and go, oh, we'll just punch it in the next play. Well, you might not get in at all, and then you don't, tie the game or whatever. So, tough spot for them, but the fact that they were just gashing the Ravens defense so consistently, that led to them scoring them, maybe a little quicker than they probably would have liked. But, Mike, like the other thing, too, with the Ravens, the run game, all that, the run game only started to work because Lamar wore the defense out because they were chasing him around all over the field for, 2.5 quarters, and then they finally get it going. So to me, that's where it's a little bit more concerning than it's just like, oh, it started out the game and they just started moving people. Cleveland moved people from the start, and they consistently dominated the line of scrimmage. I didn't feel the same way with Baltimore on the offensive side of the ball. So it's a different team with them this year. They're not as dominant. They're not as consistent. I'm glad they found a way to win. But, like I said, I guess I just don't feel quite as happy or strong about their football team. And I liked a lot of what I saw out of Cleveland, even though they lost last night.
What a difference, too, from week 1 to week 14. And Jarvis Landry told me a couple of weeks ago that, hey, look, let's be realistic. The Browns didn't have the benefit of an offseason program with a new coach, a new playbook, a new everything. And the Ravens were just picking up where they left off. They had everybody back. They didn't lose either of their coordinators, even though there was head coaching buzz for both Greg Roman and Wink Martindale last year at this time. Everybody was back. It was easier for them to start up the engine again. And that game got away from the Browns quickly and easily to get to 38-6. And last night, and again, I'm trying to push as much because there's a lot to say about Cleveland. I don't want to make short shrift of it. The Browns need to be very proud of what they did. But the Ravens, and ultimately the reason I picked the Ravens to win last night, they were the more desperate team, and we saw that desperation come through. That's something else Lamar Jackson said to Lisa Salters. The season's on the line. It's win or go home for us at this point. I had to come back.
No, yes, they had all those aspects, the personal emotions, everything like that you would think would favor them. And especially you play into the fact where you just think, well, Cleveland's happy they're 9-3. They're not going to be as edgy and, on their game and like the desperate emotion like Baltimore. But Cleveland, as you can see, is relishing the fact that they're 9-3, or we're 9-3, and now they're 9-4. But they're relishing it, and they're not looking at it like, oh, we could take a deep breath. We've stunk for so long, and now we're good. We finally made it. Who cares how it all ends up the rest of the season? No, I think they look at it and like, hey, we got momentum. We're kind of good, and we can be a player in this thing. And, kudos to them, really. I mean, Baker Mayfield and company answered the bell every time last night and made big plays, did everything right other than his pick six. And even after that, he reacted great and brought the team right back, didn't even blink. So, like you said, there's a lot to be proud of in Cleveland.
Remember, it wasn't a pick six. They weren't going for two when they scored that touchdown.
That's right. Yes,
they were going for six.
Yes.
Just remember that.
Right, thank you.
You mentioned the issue with the cleats.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think is going to get lost in the shuffle because the second half ended up being so memorable. But it was amazing to me it took so long for them to get Lamar Jackson to change his shoes. There was one point where they were carrying on the sideline the 7-stud cleats, and they created the impression that he had changed them, but it was obvious the shoes that were being displayed in the sideline shot were different from the ones that he had on for the entirety of the first half. It wasn't until the second half that we saw that he had put on different cleats.
Yeah, it's important. And the ground and cleats that whole conversation could change as the game goes on. It can. So you could go out during warm-ups and maybe it's not quite as cold and the field, looked like it had short grass and it did look pretty well manicured. I can't say that I looked like issues with the grass, but I've been in this situation too before where the grass is good, everything's good in warm-ups, but as the night goes, it's getting colder and colder. And it starts to get harder underneath. The dirt gets harder, and some of those shorter cleats just don't dig in. They kind of stay right on top of the, on the grass to where it just rips the grass out instead of digging into the soil a little bit. And yeah, he was too long to make the switch, but finally did. And even though he didn't play the whole second half, I don't really remember him slipping in the second half once he made that change.
We've all slipped on wet grass before, and it will get progressively wet over the course of an evening as dew settles in on it. And there was a moment in the first half where Jarvis Landry fumbled and then somehow recovered his own fumble, and somebody came over, and it looked like someone was trying to play golf with a shovel. That was the size of the divot that came up out of the, and you could see the officials trying to replace it and pat it back down. That didn't give me a whole lot of faith in the quality of the well-manicured field at Cleveland. I mean, look, it's okay to say there's a problem with the field tonight.
Sure.
But that's just what kind of bothers me. Sometimes I feel like there's an effort to carry water. We don't need to carry water. We need to call it like it is, because if we don't call it like it is, it's never going to get any better. And I'm still astounded, Chris, as are you, that they don't spend every penny, dollar, dime necessary to ensure the highest possible quality of every playing surface for every NFL stadium. It shouldn't be that difficult. If they can do it in Wisconsin, they should be able to do it anywhere.
No, you're right. They should be able to. And, at least it's grass out there last night. Yes, it was not perfect. But also, we got to take this to an account, too. Like, and correct me, please, if I'm wrong here. I didn't see the Browns slipping in the first half. They must have been aware of what that field might become or what it is. Maybe the soil is a little softer than
there was some slipping. Not like Lamar, but there was some slippage.
There was enough.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, the receivers, when making cuts, they were slipping.
Yeah, all right, good. But yeah, obviously the soil was soft, and that's part of being a football player. And that's why you got to bring extra cleats to games, is just for those things. And the equipment guys have it usually, but usually they tell you to bring another pair of cleats or a pair of cleats, just in case you need to change it for a given surface on a given night or weather or whatever it may be.
There's a stubbornness to Lamar Jackson, which I think is one of his better qualities, but I think it's hard for the organization at times to pierce through it and get him to do what he needs to do. For example, maybe he needed an IV earlier. He clearly needed to change the cleats earlier. I just think there are times where his attitude is, I'm fine.
Yeah.
They need someone on that sideline to say to him, no, you're not. Put these damn shoes on now.
Right.
And at least they got through to him at halftime. All right, let's take a break. And as you said, and look, I understand that Browns fans are upset today. But isn't this better than what you're used to? This is different. You're relevant. You're competing. You're contending. And the best is yet to come.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.